Lillahi ta'ala, correct your intentions. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start a new book. We're going to go over Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy في حل ألفاظ مختصر عبد الله الهرري. Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy, Jali means clear. So in this translation, they translated it as lucid. And qawl means a saying or a statement. So they translated it as word, the lucid word, Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy. Here's another translation of the same book. It's called The Clear Statement. So you have both of those, that's nice. So you just can compare statements, and it's a good study tool for you. So the Lucid Word explaining the summary of Abdullah Al-Harari, rahimahullah ta'ala. No way to mark up this page here. Let me open this with another in a different browser so I can mark on the page. Inshallah, I have a good voice and a good screen. So they said, the Lucid Word explaining the summary of Abdullah Al-Harari. And usually we'll have some signal there pointing to the letter ain. By Shaykh Muhammad ibn Nazih Alamuddin and Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ali Al-Atrash. I studied with both of them. May Allah have mercy on them. I took from them more than I studied with them, actually, to be honest with you. All right, so they have an introduction here, preface. We're going to skip this preface. But here's an important statement here. It says, before you start reading this book, it is imperative to have insight into the method of its structure, owing to its unfamiliarity to people of the English tongue. Bismillah. In reality, as we mentioned before, this book comprises two books. The text on the top of the page is the summary of Shaykh Abdullah Al-Harari, and the text below is the explanation, the Lucid Word. The way this explanation was authored is a common method in Arabic adopted by numerous scholars throughout Muslim history to explain well-known texts of various Islamic sciences. Both the source text and the explanatory text are combined and woven together to produce one integrated text. The efficacy of this method in explaining the individual terms and the syntax of the phrases is undeniable. The inherent fluidity and flexibility of the Arabic language significantly facilitates such a style of authorship. Because of this unique style, many brothers opted to translate the text in their respective languages, employing the more familiar method of separating the source text from the explanatory text completely. We auspiciously resolved to embark on this untrodden path for the purpose of fidelity to the phraseology of the authors, as well as other reasons. All right, so, mashallah, I have some nice English here. If I'm not mistaken, the Australian brothers worked on this. That's my understanding. To distinguish between the explanatory text and the original text, the former is in boldface and the latter is in standard. What they would usually do in Arabic is put the source text, the original text, they would put it in brackets. And they would put the explanatory text outside of the brackets. It is also important to know that the words in italics are originally Arabic words transliterated into English. Occasionally, we attach the transliterated words with the actual Arabic words and hope that together they would direct the reader to their proper articulation. They're saying, sometimes we transliterated the Arabic word and still put the Arabic word in Arabic next to it so that you can pronounce it properly. However, this can only be guaranteed by learning how to pronounce them properly. To better understand our method of transliteration, please refer to the transliteration chart at the end of the book. Our translation is not flawless. We accept the advice of anyone who points out anything that seems like an error in translation or the like after careful research and examination. We humbly ask Allah to benefit the Muslims by this and greatly reward the authors, translators, and all the Muslims who study it. Amin. The summary of Abdullah Al-Harari, which is comprehensive of the personal essential knowledge of the religion. All right, I'm going to try to keep my commentary to a minimal, and I'll read, inshallah, whatever is here. And I'll explain, I'll give any extra explanation, inshallah ta'ala, if it's needed. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I start with the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, whose abundant mercy is inclusive of the believers and the non-believers in this life and specific to the believers in the hereafter. All right. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the text up top. Let me just zoom out of here a little bit so you can see what it looks like. So you see here this dividing line. Whatever is above this line, that's the original text. Here, that's just the mukhtasar. Although they have also refined its translation. So the mukhtasar itself, the summary of obligatory knowledge, it has been translated several times. Not only did they translate Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy, that explanation, they also refined the translation of the summary here. But I'm not going to read this, whatever's on top, because it's going to be down bottom also. The amount of whatever is up top is what is explained down bottom. All the way down to, as you can see here, where it says, who is, and then down here, who is, because that's the end of the page. Yani, the top, whatever's on top follows what's on bottom as far as the amount that's presented there. See here, it says, a Shafi'i on the second page. Down here, it says, a Shafi'i, because that's the amount that was covered here. And like that. So just so you can see here what that looks like, we'll skip whatever is above the dividing line and we'll just read whatever is below. So the author says the summary of Abdullah Al-Harari, which is comprehensive, that means including, which is comprehensive of the personal essential knowledge of the religion. Essential knowledge, that's good. We usually say necessary knowledge, essential knowledge, that's good. I start my authorship of this book with the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman, the one whose abundant mercy is inclusive of the believers and the non-believers in this life, and specific to the believers in the hereafter. That means the one who's merciful to everyone in the world, but not in the hereafter. In the hereafter, he's merciful only to believers. And Ar-Rahim, the one whose abundant mercy is for the believers. I.e., I mention his name, seeking blessings by it, along with affirming that all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. I.e., or meaning, i.e., you know that means meaning, the owner of everything that came into existence. So they're saying here, Lord of the worlds means the owner of everything that came into existence. Who is Al-Hayy, the one who is attributed with life, the living, the one who's alive. So Al-Hayy, that's an adjective. If you wanted one word, means the living or the alive. And Al-Qayyum, the one who is everlasting and the one who preordained all the creations. The one who is everlasting. That's one explanation for Al-Qayyum. And Al-Qayyum has many tafsirs, numerous tafsirs. And the one who preordained all the entities, acts, sayings, and conditions. So entities here, they mean the things that have volume. Entity here means the thing that has volume, but the word entity in English means, it could mean anything that exists. I ask Allah to raise the rank of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his pious followers, and his good and pure companions, comma, and to protect his nation from that which he feared for it. Yes, they said here, Lord of the worlds means the owner of everything that came into existence. That's one way to explain it. When I say they, I'm referring to whoever worked on the translation. Yani, if you took this translation, then it's like you took any translation. Like, if you took this translation and then you saw the clear statement, it's the same thing, you took it. Or if you took the clear statement and then you saw this translation, the Lucid Word, it's fine. Or if you just took the Arabic, then you took the translation. And in any language also. Thereafter, this book is an abridgment. That means a summary. Known as the summary, i.e., a text of minimal wording. A summary, a text of minimal wording and abundant meaning. Yani, if you want, you could say minimal wording, but abundant meaning. Despite its minimal wording, it has abundant meaning, inclusive of most of the essential knowledge of the religion, which one cannot do without. Comma, and is sinful for any accountable person to be ignorant of it. This comprises the obligatory knowledge pertaining to matters of belief, Islamic jurisprudence issues, that means rules, from purification up to pilgrimage, Hajj, including prayer, zakah, and fasting, and some rules of dealings, like renting and hiring, engaging in a profit-sharing venture, putting up collateral, and the like, along with clarifying the judgment of riba, yani usury. So they didn't translate it here. Usury, and some forbidden sales according to the school of the prestigious Mujtahid and Imam, comma, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. One thing I do want to comment on here, just because it always sticks out to me, so I want to say something here. So let's take this word here, al-Shafi'i. So rule in English language is that the first letter of any proper name should be capitalized. So here they went the way of not capitalizing that first letter. And a lot of people do that. A lot of Muslims do that when they transliterate these Arabic names. I don't do that because you're not supposed to start a proper name with a small letter. But I just want to point that out to you. So, according to the school of the prestigious Mujtahid and Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. So, let's back up really quick here. This summary, this abridgment, it includes the obligatory knowledge pertaining to matters of belief, Islamic jurisprudence issues, rules, from purification up to pilgrimage. Rules, including rules of purification up to pilgrimage. So including in between purification and pilgrimage, you have prayer, zakah, and fasting. Those go between purification and pilgrimage as far as the arrangement of chapters are concerned. So usually you're going to get purification, and then prayer, and then zakah, and then fasting, and then hajj. And then some rules of dealings, like renting and hiring. We'll talk about that when we get to it, inshallah. Engaging in profit sharing. That's when one party has the money and the other party does the trading. Trading in particular, nothing more, not cooking, not something else. One party has the money, one party does the trading, and then they split the profits. So engaging in a profit-sharing venture, putting up collateral, we'll come back to that inshallah, and the like, along with clarifying the judgment of riba, usurious gain. We'll come to it, inshallah. And some forbidden sales that are not riba. Not all forbidden sales are usury. According to the school, the madhab of the prestigious mujtahid and imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. School here, it doesn't mean a building where you go to school. School here means the way of a scholar who has people under him also, scholars who follow his way. You basically have a mujtahid, a very high-ranking scholar. That's the highest level, a mujtahid. Then he would have students, and they learn his way. And his function is to deduce judgments that are not explicitly mentioned in the Quran or in the Hadith. And so, basically, the mujtahid, in simple terms, he explains the religion. The absolute mujtahid, he will elaborate on the rules of the religion, the Sharia, all the chapters of religious laws, whether worships or dealings. We say all chapters, that includes chapters pertaining to being a judge, pertaining to being a ruler, pertaining to warfare, pertaining to slaves, pertaining to any chapters of laws, pertaining to contests and games, and pertaining to swearing, all the religious chapters of law. The mujtahid explains those, he elaborates on those, and then he would have students who take from him. And then, if Allah will, that mujtahid and his way will last by people transmitting that. Until today, the Muslims have 4 schools that survived time. Hanafi school, Maliki school, Shafi'i school, and Hanbali school. And all of this that we're going to go over is according to the way of Ash-Shafi'i. So this is a presentation of the Shafi'i school. And this is basic fundamental information. It's not detailed. This is just obligatory knowledge for the layman so that he can be functional, a functional Muslim. Ash-Shafi'i al-Qurashi al-Muttalibi. May Allah raise his rank. So they have some footnotes here. What does Qurashi mean? What does Muttalibi mean? Looks like the word riba here needs a footnote, since they didn't translate it and they didn't put a footnote. May Allah raise his rank. He was born in the year 150 after the Hijrah, after the migration of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and he died in the year 204. So he's from the Salaf. And he's one of the greatest scholars ever in human history. In the history of mankind, he's one of the greatest scholars. He was born in the year 150. He died 204. That means, how old was he when he died? Only 54 years old. Maybe some of you who are listening, you're older than that. But he didn't reach anywhere near the knowledge that Allah bestowed on Imam Ash-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala. Allah has mercy on whomever he wills, and Allah specifies whatever he wills for whomever he wills. Allah favors whomever he wills. Shaykh Abdullah said Ash-Shafi'i was more knowledgeable than Aisha. The author then dedicated part of the book to enumerate the obligations of the heart, sins of the heart, and of other body parts, and the sins of other body parts, such as the tongue and others. Which are, what are those others? The abdomen, the inside, the stomach, the eyes, the ears, the hands, the private parts, and the feet, as well as clarifying the sins of the body which are not exclusive to a particular body part. The sins of the body which are not exclusive to a particular body part. There's a group of sins called merely the sins of the body. Why are they called that? Because they're not particular to any limb or organ. Those are explained subsequently, meaning afterwards. Lastly, the book closes on a section dedicated to explaining repentance. The original book from which the author derived his book, the Summary, that's the book we're reading now. We're reading the explanation of this summary. This summary that we're explaining now, that's our source text. It was taken from another book called سلم التوفيق إلى محبة الله على التحقيق, which was written by Abdullah ibn Hussein ibn Tahir ibn Muhammad ibn Hashim al-Shafi'i al-Alawi. Sullum al-Tawfiq means the ladder of success. A jurist from Hadramaut, meaning a scholar from Hadramaut, that's in Al-Yemen. Look there. They got the big A. That's good. That's nice. Makes me feel happy. Alhamdulillah. Al-Alawi. He was born in the year 1191 and died in the year 1272. So that means this book is, this original book is like 200 years old. Then Shaykh, he took that book and he worked on it. His book was summarized and many precious issues were then added to the book, unveiling the underlying meanings of the text. That means clarifying what meanings are hidden away, tucked in the words. Clarifying it while omitting what the original author, Shaykh Abdullah ibn Hussein, mentioned regarding Sufism, which does not pertain to the subject matter of the summary, because the author of the summary, may Allah have mercy on him, intended to compile the essential knowledge of the religion in this book. And what he omitted regarding Sufism does not fall under that category. Shaykh Abdullah omitted what was in the original book about Sufism. That's a general statement. There are elements of Sufism that merge with the obligatory knowledge, like learning about the sicknesses of the heart. So the sins of the heart, that coincides with tasawwuf. Tasawwuf is the knowledge of the secrets of the heart and the purification of the heart and the secrets of other actions, the secrets of the good deeds and the secrets of the bad deeds. And now also, I'll point out to you that even though it might not have appeared to you, some of the sentences here are run-on sentences, what's called in English run-on sentence. Means really you could break the sentence up or it's going on too long. That's according to modern standard English. I don't know what would the standard be in older English. Can you keep going on and on and on like that? I never researched it. But in order to do what they want to do here by merging the original text with the explanation, then that's almost unavoidable. So they're going to have run-on sentences, very long sentences. But in Arabic, it's completely fine. What we would call run-on sentence in English and Arabic is not a matter. It's not an issue. And what he omitted regarding Sufism does not fall under that category. Some phrases were changed with clearer ones in such a way that the subject matter would not be altered. The author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, in a few cases, I mentioned what some Shafi'i jurists like Imam Sirajuddin Umar ibn Raslan al-Bulqini. It says he was born in the year 724 and he died in the year 805. Gave preponderance to. If you want, you could say Umar with a U. Umar. Therefore, judging what was mentioned in the original book as weak. The Shaykh is saying, the original book, Sulam al-Tawfiq, it was so beneficial, but it had room for improvement. So I added some things and I subtracted some things, and as a reference for my edits to the book, I relied heavily on one of the great Shafi'i scholars named Umar ibn Raslan al-Bulqini, Imam al-Bulqini. He was a mujtahid in the madhab of Shafi'i. He was at the second level in the Shafi'i school, the level right under the Imam himself. So there are cases that he gave preponderance to, meaning in the Shafi'i school, they differed sometimes about some cases. So there would be more than one saying about a case. So the Shaykh is saying, in Sulamut Tawfiq, the author mentioned sayings that are Shafi'i school, but there are other sayings about those cases that are stronger. So I took out the weak ones and put in the stronger ones. In other words, the Shaykh is saying to you, if you learn this summary of obligatory knowledge, you will learn what is strong of the Shafi'i school. Therefore, judging what was mentioned in the original book as weak. Hence, the accountable one must pay due attention to this book by learning it, studying it, and reviewing the issues raised in this book until he memorizes them and they become embedded in his heart. All this must be done while having a sincere intention and seeking the reward from Allah in order to have one's deeds accepted. I named it, as Shaykh Abdullah talking, and in the Arabic he said, we named it. He was talking about himself. He said, Asmaynahu, we named it. But here they translated it as, I named it the Summary of Abdullah Al-Harari, which is comprehensive of the personal, essential knowledge of the religion, which is the knowledge that includes knowing Allah, His Messenger, and other essential creedal issues. Period. Here, you can put a period here instead of a comma. And then big I here. It also includes knowing the rules of worship and other matters designated as essential knowledge of the religion. Since knowing Allah and His Messenger and believing in them is the most important and best obligation, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, started his book by discussing the essentials of belief, i.e., the creedal issues of the creed, which the accountable person cannot do without. So, first of all, that's the end of the Shaykh's introduction. If we check the Arabic of Al-Qawl Al-Jaliyy, we'll see how did they do that. Looks like the next section, and perhaps this could use a page break, start a new page, because all what we just read was an introduction. See there, up top, they just didn't put a page break there. Essentials of Belief, Section 1. It is obligatory upon all accountable persons. That's the original text. So it looks like, yeah, here, this could stand to be a page break. And then, so that's clear in your mind, inshallah. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm nitpicking, just pointing out some things to you. Because that can help you to understand and to teach other people, inshallah ta'ala. So, because this is a new section here. So, we're going to read this like it's new section. Since knowing Allah and His Messenger and believing in them is the most important and best obligation, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, started his book by discussing the essentials of belief. Meaning, after he finished his introduction, he started the main topics that he wants, i.e., the creedal issues which the accountable person cannot do without. This is a section dedicated to explaining the meaning of the two testifications of faith. It is obligatory upon all accountable persons who are pubescent, sane, and received the basic call of Islam, i.e., whoever has been informed. Nice. We usually say whoever heard, or whomever it reached him, even. That's best. Whomever it reached him, that's what Shaykh says. Because being informed might imply that someone told you that. But maybe nobody told you that, but it reached you. If it reached you, that basic call, you'll be accountable. Whoever has been informed that no one is God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So those are the accountable ones, those who are pubescent, sane, and they received the basic call of Islam. What is obligatory on them? To embrace the religion of Islam immediately if they were kafirs, yani disbelievers, non-believers, blasphemers, unbelievers. The non-Muslims like to use the word infidel. And also it's obligatory on him to remain steadfast to it in such a manner that the heart would be clear of any intent to renounce Islam in the future or any hesitation about it. Because whoever intends to disbelieve in the future or hesitates about doing so falls into kufr immediately. And anyone who is truly a skeptic in his heart about Islam, then he's a kafir and he's a hypocrite. So it's obligatory on the person for his heart to be firm on Islam. He can't be pretending to be a Muslim. Then he would be a kafir and a hypocrite in his creed. And he can't be skeptical, although he just does show he's Muslim or she's a Muslimah. She goes to some classes, puts khimar, for example, but in her heart she's not firm, or a man too, puts kufi, wears khufs. But in his heart, he has a struggle. He's not firm. That's kufr. And it is also obligatory upon the accountable person to comply with what is obligatory upon them of its rules that the religion ordered them to follow. This is attained by fulfilling all the obligations and abstaining from all the prohibitions. Yani, to comply with what is obligatory upon them of its rules, all of its rules. That means, that's a summarized way of saying, doing all the obligations and avoiding all the prohibitions. That includes saying hurtful words to the Muslim. That's haram, when you don't have an excuse for that. From this, it is known that the child who dies before puberty is not held accountable in the hereafter for what they did. So they said they. People talk like that a lot. I don't know if that's correct though. Yani, they use they for singular. Just because people talk like that, I'm not criticizing the book here, I'm telling you something. Just because people talk like a way, that doesn't mean that it's right because they do it that way. So you need to make sure, brothers and sisters, you think about everything you hear, you think about everything you say. What do the words you say mean? What do the words people say to you mean? And you think for yourself also. Thinking for yourself doesn't mean being arrogant and rejecting what other people tell you. Don't just follow things because people do it. What does the sentence say here? From this, it is known that the child, that's singular, who dies before pubescence is not held accountable in the afterlife for what they did. Like, personally, I don't say that, or maybe it comes out of my mouth sometimes. So that's why it sticks out to me. I would say, for what he did. But people speak like that a lot. Maybe it's correct English. Likewise is the person who becomes insane before pubescence, and his insanity continues until after pubescence, and he dies while insane. Similarly, one is not accountable if he were pubescent. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it. And for my own sake, I don't want to say that. But it's fine, inshallah. Similarly, one is not accountable if he were pubescent and sane, but never received the call of Islam, i.e., the two testifications of faith. Therefore, anyone who understands Arabic, then hears the testifications of faith in the adhan while being pubescent and sane, is accountable. This comma, we don't need it. Therefore, anyone who understands Arabic, then hears the testifications of faith in the adhan while being pubescent and sane, is accountable. So, if they were to die without embracing Islam, they deserve the everlasting torture in hellfire. Among what the accountable one, whether a Muslim or a non-Muslim, must know, accept, and believe in absolutely, or if you want, you can slide this here, and absolutely believe in one's heart, but maybe they want to split these two ends apart. It's fine though, it's not wrong. And believe in absolutely in one's heart at all times, and utter immediately if one were an original kafir or an apostate, are the two shahadas. See how the sentence went very long here? From here all the way down to here. The Arabic accommodates that long sentence like that. So, among what the accountable one, whether a Muslim or non-Muslim, must know, accept, and believe in absolutely in one's heart at all times, and must utter immediately if one were an original kafir or an apostate. Yani, if he were a kafir, original kafir or apostate, either way, among what the accountable one must know, accept, and believe in absolutely are the two shahadas, or is. Among that is the two shahadas. Or otherwise, comma, if the accountable person were already a Muslim, one must utter them in the prayer. Utter the two shahadas in the prayer. The two shahadas are called in English the two testifications of faith, which are, so here when they said called in English, then they took a liberty, because it doesn't say that in the Arabic text. They took a liberty there. It's fine. May Allah have mercy on them. Amin. What are those two testifications of faith? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. I testify that no one is God except Allah, and that Muhammad, and I testify, it's repeated. Ashhadu wa ashhadu. So probably better to repeat it in the translation. I testify that no one is God except Allah, and I testify that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May Allah raise his rank and protect his nation from what he fears for it. Amin. Since the testifications of faith are the basis of the call to Islam, it is an obligation for the Muslim to know their meaning. Hence the author, may Allah have mercy upon him. They got it there. There's the comma. Those two commas there. They got them. Hence the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, started to explain the first testification by saying, the meaning of Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I testify that no one is God except Allah, is I know, I believe, i.e., I accept in my heart, and I declare with my tongue that nothing is worshipped rightfully except Allah. Worshipped with two P's, that's not American English. And I like that personally, it makes sense. I.e., nothing deserves to be worshipped, which means nothing deserves to be offered the utmost degree of humbleness and humility except Allah. Nice. Nothing deserves to be offered the utmost degree of humbleness and humility. That's nice. Nice wording. Except Allah. The meaning of worship in the Arabic language is the maximal degree of submission and subjugation. Comma. As stated by the linguist and Hafiz Taqiyuddin as-Subki. So here, the meaning of worship in the Arabic language, there's not a big deal there, but the word worship is not an Arabic word so that it has a meaning in the Arabic language. So had it said here, the meaning of ibadah, and then put worship in parentheses, for example, then there wouldn't be a way to criticize it. But that's a small issue there, and maybe a lot of people could just read through that and it won't register for them. That's fine. Hence, it is known that worship does not mean just obedience. Just here means mere, does not mean mere obedience. It does not mean just obedience, only merely obedience. Nor calling upon, nor seeking rescue or help, nor fearing or hoping, comma, as some people think. The author, may Allah have mercy upon him, began to explain who Allah is and what are his attributes, because worshiping and believing in him are only satisfied if the worshiper properly knows what they are worshiping and what he is worshiping. The worshiper, the worship is only satisfied if the worshiper properly knows what he is worshiping. Yes. Yani, it's unachievable to worship Allah without knowing Him. It's unachievable. Not merely not satisfied, it's unachievable altogether. But maybe we should stop here so we can start going over the attributes next week, inshallah ta'ala. Do you have any question I can answer for you? Amin wa fikum. So, MashaAllah can. Wa ma lam yasha lam yakun. La ilaha illallah. He said someone asked something about worship. Let's see here. It says, can you go back to where you have the meaning of worship underlined? Okay. Yes, I'm here. What's your question? It says the meaning of worship in the Arabic language is the maximal degree of submission and subjugation.
Can you explain why you underlined this?
Yeah, I underlined it because it says the meaning of worship in the Arabic language, but the word worship, it doesn't have a meaning in the Arabic language. The word worship is an English word. So the word that is in the Arabic language is ibadah. So the meaning of ibadah in the Arabic language, which we would translate as worship, is the maximal degree of submission and subjugation. But there is a way to explain this. Yani, the meaning of worship, not the word worship, but the concept of worship that would be explained in Arabic. Maybe that's what they meant when they translated it that way. That's clear?
Yes, it is.
Barakallahu fikum.